And in studio, I have Miss Zenobia Kloppers, who has been nominated for Best Lead Actress. Zenobia, I say, welkom.
Welkom.
Ja, nee. En ek wil net gou sê, my se ma sê, ek moet groete stuur.
Baie dankie, sê vir jou ma, ek sê baie groete.
Ek sal so doen. So, I mean, I've been fortunate enough, even though back then I didn't think I was fortunate enough, to do a book report on Philas se Kind, like most kids do, you know, like Romeo and Juliet and stuff. We actually did a book report on Philas se Kind.
Wow.
So I kind of knew quite a lot about it when I got the script, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. But for those folks who don't know the iconic story of Philas se Kind, tell us about the story.
Oh, I guess it's sort of quite simple, really. Little white boy gets lost in the mountains, or on the Lange Kloof, and he comes to this house, and it's the house of Phila Kumuti and her family, which is a brown or colored family. And Phila Kumuti takes him in as her own son. And then obviously years later, do I give the story away a little bit? Well, basically, years later, it being the 1800s, two censusmen come and they see this little white boy living with a colored family, and they just think it's really wrong.
Yeah.
And they think that he is the son of some woodcutters that live across the mountain, and they wangle it.
Yeah.
So let's leave it there.
Let's leave it
for
at
those
that.
who don't know the story.
And your character that you played, tell me about her. How did you feel when you got the role for her? Because I mean, it's a legendary character.
Yes. Well, it's actually a funny story. I was doing Bias Cafe, a tiny role in Bias Cafe, and I just wrapped for the day, and they phoned me on set still. And I'll tell you, I started dancing around, and it was like
No.
crazy woman, because you can't tell anyone, So it was really a momentous occasion.
Sure. Being a part of such an iconic flick, like how did you feel when you knew that, okay, this is actually real? You're on set, you're seeing everybody, and you're like, okay, dit gebeur nou. Emotions.
Wow, it was, I don't know, it felt like it was meant to be. It felt like right. It felt right. When you sort of in your skin and you feel something was just sort of meant to be.
Yes.
That's how it felt for me. I felt incredibly at home on set and in the character. I knew her. I knew who she was. I know her.
Yes.
So it was. I don't know. I felt so happy. I was in a state of bliss the entire time, really.
All right. And it's just, I'm from the Northern Cape, and being from that side of the world, ons Afrikaans is 'n bietjie anders. Would you say you took to that easily with the way that they spoke, that Shakespearean style, for lack of a better phrase?
I'm actually from Namibia originally.
Oh.
So dis baie naby.
So, okay,
Ons
that's
praat ook maar so, jy weet.
Yeah.
So taking that accent wasn't so difficult. In fact, I played this part before, about 10, 11 years ago on stage.
Yes.
And then again about 2 years ago, a year before I did the film, I played it on stage again. So the accent was very in me. But we didn't do the Northern Cape accent for this one.
Okay.
Because it's actually set in Uniondale kind of area, which is a slightly different accent. It's a little, there's a softer edge to it. So if Phyllis says, instead of saying, Gaylop Gachti Volstreise, sal sy eerder sê, Loop Jaghi Volstreise.
Yeah. So it's
there's a softer edge to it, which you'll see in the film as well.
Yes. And speak to me about your nomination at the SAFTAs. That must have been a groot dingetjie.
O, jette, dit so real it's so, you always say, people always say, you watch these interviews and feel like, oh, it's such an honor to be nominated.
Yes.
And you know what, it actually is. Because to be really honest, just to be to be said with your name, to be said in the same breath as Clementine and Sandra Prinsloo, the same breath. It's a momentous thing. That's an award in itself, truly. Really.
You have many things that you do. I mean, you're a business entrepreneur. radio presenter, you do music, you also do stage performances. Who is Zenobia Kloppers? Where does she lie within all those little roles that you do?
I think all of those things are very creative and they're very expressive. So I see myself as a performer, as an interpreter, and just sort of a storyteller. And I think all of those things they're basically the same for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from an opera background. I actually studied opera first. So the singing is very important to me. Acting, of course, is something, it's indescribable. If it's in you, it's in you,
Yes.
But all of them really have the same basis. They're all creative, they're all interpretive, they're all storytelling.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of an outlet for what's inside you and for what you want to give to the world.
Yeah. And if you had to give any advice for the kids who are coming after you, who are trying to get into the industry as you are, what would you say to them?
Okay, I think in this day and age, don't do it for the fame, because that's something that's silly and fleeting and doesn't give you any satisfaction.
Yeah.
Do it for the work. Do it because you really can't do anything else. This is in you. You'll starve to do it.
Yes.
So, and if you really want to do it, just hou aan.
I say, hou dik.
Hou dik.
If you had to give your 18-year-old self, the 18-year-old Zenobia Kloppers, just some peace of mind of what you know now, what would you say to her?
I'd say, moenie worry nie, man.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's next for Zenobia Kloppers?
The
planets.
plans. Sure, you know what? I live in faith.
Yeah.
So
Samach.
God has his plans. We'll
see,
you
yes.
follow every path that's laid in front of you and trust that it's gonna be where you want to be. And I mean, obviously, I've got my own plans. I want to do some concerts. I want to do some new music.
Yes.
I want to be in a film. I want to produce a little bit, films and stuff.
Yes.
But but I trust that God has a plan.
Yes. And I wish you all the best, and I know that we're going to see your name in lights everywhere. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, keep well.
You too.
All right.